This video is about a great little ride I did when I was visiting Prescott, just north of Prescott, called the Camp Wood Road Loop or something to that effect. I don't know if it has an official name, but basically it's north of Prescott on all gravel and dirt. And we travel up north on Williamson Valley Road until we intersect with Camp Wood Road. Then we travel, I guess it's west on a climb up Camp Wood Road to the very peak. Then we go down Service Road 95, we intersect back with Williamson Valley Road, and we head, I guess it would be southeast on that road all the way to where we started. So this is an outback. The video you just saw were people arriving after the climb to the peak on Camp Wood Road, and that was a fun climb and a difficult climb. Here's footage of us on the Service Road 95, and this was a little bit more technical in terms of the road not being quite as nice with more crap and holes and ruts and things like this. There was a stream down here, and you could see that the rider right here in front of me on the mountain bike, he had bombed through that downhill and gone through the water. But of course, everyone else was a little more cautious. You never quite know what's below the water. So a hole, a rock, even though the water was mostly clear. But we were just watching there. This guy on the mountain bike, that's an e-bike. That's an e-mountain bike, and on the climb he had gapped everyone. I bridged up to him, and then I held his wheel for quite a while. It's about a 13.58 mile climb with an elevation of 1,228 feet gained, and most of that elevation is gained near the end, and so it's a decently hard climb. The total distance on this ride was 41.56 miles with a total elevation gained of 2,595 feet. And this was just a little climb here, pretty steep on SR 95. And the reason, I brought my GoPro with me, but I didn't have a mount for it. So this is me holding the GoPro in my hand. The guy on the e-bike, finally he did, when we were doing the climb, finally I just couldn't stay with him, and he gapped me and left me. And it was funny because at first I didn't know he was on an e-bike, and he was just, you know, putting out a pretty hard pace, and it was taking a lot of effort to stay with him. And finally I got to the side of him, and I realized that I had met him before on a different bike and that he was on an e-bike, and of course he confirmed that, and eventually he dropped me. So here we are on a descent on SR 95, and I thought this might be fun to record. Again, I didn't have a mount, so this is me holding the GoPro in my mouth, which of course is a backup mount whenever you don't have a mount. So this is the Hero Session 5. It's small enough that you can put it in your mouth, and it's waterproof too, so all that saliva is not going to ruin it, right? Anyway, this was a lot of fun going down this. The guys that were on cross bikes, they did not like this section, this overall section of road compared to us guys on the mountain bikes. I'm on a full squish cross-country type mountain bike, so not a ton of travel on my bike. I don't ride my mountain bike very much. I bought it used, and so I'm very inexperienced on gravel and on my mountain bike. I would say, I've been on maybe 2 gravel rides total my whole life, really, and both of them were on my old road bike, not on a mountain bike. And so I had a lot of fun going down here. I'm gonna hit, I think, a little bit of some sand up here that sent my rear sideways a little bit, just to, a little slide, just to have some fun. So I think that's coming up in a minute. The guys on the cross bikes in general were faster than the guys on the mountain bikes, and with the exception of me, of course. No, just kidding. I was faster, but I probably would have been a lot faster on a cross bike, which I don't own. Yeah, I think that's where I went through a little bit of sand, going a little bit fast, made me giggle to myself a little bit. Here we are on the flats here as we're headed towards Williamson Valley Road. And yeah, so the cross bikes were definitely faster. Some of these guys have that LAAF. Is that am I saying that correctly? I think it's LAAF. I may be getting that wrong, but that's that cross front bike suspension that uses leaf springs. I saw like maybe 2 or 3 people on that kind of fork. which is different than a hydraulic fork that you might have on some mountain bikes. So that gives you a little more bounce on that cross bike as you're going over this stuff. Um, this was the kind of ride that I thought would be important for me to do. So this was a Saturday. I should mention when I got there to the start, my wife dropped me off, and out pops this guy. He's on a Dallas Bike Works. He has a Dallas Bike Works kit, and I'm like, oh my goodness, here I am in Prescott, Arizona, and then here's a guy in a Dallas Bike Works kit. Our arch enemy from the street fight video I did a few weeks ago. Of course, they're not our enemies; they're good guys, and we enjoy riding with them, but it was kind of funny, made me laugh. Apparently, he's a former denizen of the Dallas area, and he had moved to Phoenix. And it turns out there are people in Phoenix who come up to Prescott just for rides on weekends or long weekends or whatever. And this particular gentleman said that if he could live in Prescott, he'd prefer to live in Prescott than living in Phoenix, where it doesn't have the mountain stuff, the mountain biking, these nice gravel roads and things. All they have is heat. And anyway, so this is really it's an attraction. We had a rather big group, I think, at least for the size of the year. It was a big group. On the climb, as far as Strava, there's a couple of segments that are on the steepest part of the climb that someone had created, and I got fifth out of 37 on that climb. It's kind of weird when Strava gives you a fourth place trophy and then you look at the all time best and then it says you're fifth and then the four in front of you all happened before you. So why didn't you get fifth, but you're getting the trophy for fourth? Does that make any sense? Is there something I'm missing? Anyway, so fifth out of 37, not that it really matters, but just to give you an idea that if you're I'm not the lightest guy in the world. I'm not on a cross bike. Again, it's kind of a meaningless comparison. There are pros out here, and they would completely destroy what I did. But my effort was a pretty good effort for me, and it was paced by a mountain bike, e-bike, a lot of the ways. Um, I guess here's uh, another descent where I have the camera in my mouth, and I'm gonna give it a go here. Anyway, I thought this would be sort of like the kind of iconic thing one should do if one is in this part of the country, since you don't get the opportunity to do this around the Dallas area. Going on, off way in the country, way out from nowhere. We saw maybe, I don't know, three cars the entire time, mostly on that last road, Williamson Valley, going back. And, just to show you, you need to be careful. I was kind of a little bit left of the midline, kind of went around this semi-blind turn, and you think you can hear things from a way far away. Then this FedEx truck comes blasting around the corner, and yeah, I had to move over pretty quick. So don't be an idiot. Don't just take up the whole road. Don't be across the midline for no reason, especially when there's turns and you don't have line of sight. So this was a great fun ride. I kind of wish it was a little bit longer, only 41 miles, but totally worth it. I'm glad I did it. I would love to gravel grind some more. I hope to eventually get a gravel bike or a cross bike and give it a go. Love to have a power meter on it, etc. And definitely, if I lived in this part of the world, I would have a gravel bike, no doubt about it. The most versatile bike. You can do this ride, you can do the road rides, you can do anything on the gravel bike. And um, when you travel to Colorado, you travel to Arizona, New Mexico, places like that, Utah, that cross bike is going to be the most versatile bike that, um, when you're hearing about rides that are posted up from other people and they're going to be doing a gravel ride and you don't have a gravel bike, well, oh well, you're not going to necessarily be able to do that. Having said that, I've done gravel rides on like a couple of them on my road bike. I had a couple of flats, but otherwise it was okay. Although it is really hard to do 23 millimeter tires on steep gravel. I found that if you're above 10% and you stop on your 23 millimeter tires going up on gravel, you cannot restart. You do not have enough traction to restart. So Don't recommend the 23 millimeter tires on these gravel rides, but it is possible. And really had fun on this ride. So um, hopefully this is a little bit of information. If someone out there is looking up Camp Wood Road and the ride, and this is what it's like. There's a bridge here that shows what this just scenic views along the way that are fun to take in. Of course, this ride attracted all levels of cycling prowess, from perhaps some lightly fitnessed people on gravel bikes to pretty strong riders. And the way back was tough because we had a headwind and there was just a ton of washerboard type stuff on this road. And there was also just areas of sand, just like you're fishtailing through sand on the road. But I'm going to include at the very end here a picture that was taken along the way. That's me, second from the right, with my camelback and riding my mountain bike, and just a really scenic, pretty area. So, really recommend, if you get a chance in that part of the country, to consider the ride out in Camp Wood Road. A little bit of history also, I should add. Camp Wood Road, it was originally developed to supply lumber to Prescott. So they would go up in these mountains. They had a lumber camp, and they would haul back the big lumber, the wood, including tons of oak trees, of which I saw no oak trees up there. So apparently there used to be oak trees, but they chopped them all down. They're all gone. So you can see how the scenery's changed over time. Anyway, that's all I got for my report on the Camp Wood gravel grinding I did in Arizona. Later.